to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week we watched Sherlock Holmes, but not really. It's actually The Great Mouse Detective from 1986.
Is it Sherlock Holmes? I guess it is.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is.
It's based on a book series called Basil and something or other.
Right, but it's Sherlock Holmes with mice. Like, I mean, that's...
Fair. I guess it's sort of fair.
Yeah,
except... It's kind of a rip-off.
It is. That's exactly what it is. Where did you see it was based on a book?
In the credits. Book series, not a book.
Oh, I missed that. I wonder if the book series is based on a mouse.
I don't see why not.
But I do remember that was the original name for the movie, but they changed it because they thought it was stupid.
I don't think that the name made it any better.
Did you? Did you not like it very much?
It's not that great. It's fine. It's like the prequel to Oliver and Company.
I'm so disappointed.
That's fine. We're not always gonna agree. I didn't have any whatchamacallit for this though. What's it? You know, when you're looking back.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. I had no nostalgia for this. I'd never seen this movie.
Oh, I thought, okay, so you weren't sure if you'd seen it.
I wasn't sure. I definitely had not seen it.
But you kind of, okay, so, because last episode when you were like, oh, I think there's like a balloon or something, so then I thought you had seen it because of the end of the movie.
No, I didn't know that the Ranger Mobile had already been invented a few years prior. So and now I'm kind of wondering if Radigan is Gadget Hackwrench's dad. Or if Olivia is Gadget Hackwrench's sister.
Maybe. It's, it's conspiracy theories abound.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I will admit probably a lot of it is nostalgia because I did watch this movie. And I think the reason that my parents let me watch it so much is because it's really short.
God, is it short?
It's so short. And I don't remember it being very short, but, like, this was one of those movies that we had on VHS that came in, like, the plastic box containers.
The clamshell.
Nobody else that I was friends with had this movie.
Yeah, I get it.
I was surprised that they had 4 directors and they were all like their A-list team.
Yeah, of writers.
Right. Well, there was one of them did direct stuff. Yeah. Like Ron Clements did direct Little Mermaid.
But I think all of them together just made a stinker.
But it's just weird because like they were all writers on Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Mulan, Hunchback, like these really good movies.
Yeah. But sometimes you end up with a Great Mouse Detective, and it was clearly super low budget.
Well, yeah, okay, because this movie was sandwiched in between The Black Cauldron, which was is notoriously supposedly like the worst movie that Disney ever made. I don't know, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. And Oliver and Company, which also was apparently a bomb. So they had 3 bombs in a row.
Yeah, but at least the Oliver and Company had an all-star cast.
Well, no, it did. That was like their effort to bring the studio back or whatever.
Well, this definitely did not.
No, I know who Vincent Price is. I've heard the name, but I wouldn't...
Yeah, he's the biggest name. And like Olivia is somebody who... This is literally the only thing that person ever did.
Yeah, as a child. Well, no, actually, because the guy who voiced Dawson... Was it Dawson or Watson?
No, Dawson was in a whole bunch of other animated.
Yeah,
well, he was like a voice actor.
He was the voice of the Sultan in Aladdin. That's how, because I recognized his voice, and then I was like, oh, that's who he is. He's the dad in Aladdin.
That's kind of funny. That does make sense, yeah. And Basil was he was like a British actor through all kinds of stuff. I don't know any of it, but
yeah, no, I didn't recognize him at all. It was I didn't even write down his name.
Yeah.
So you hadn't seen it all. I had seen it a lot. So you didn't like it, but what overall...
I'm not going to say I didn't like it. It was just kind of crappy. Like, it was... I mean, it's fine, but there was nothing really great about it. Can you sit here and be like, oh, this part is super awesome?
Okay,
Other than
well...
I'll talk about my favorite scene later, but...
But see, that's the thing, is I have a couple of parts that I really like, but I guess the problem with this movie is that it's so short, there's just not enough
Yeah, there's really not
story, and I don't remember it being so short as a kid.
And that's the thing is, it's fine for kids because it is super short and it moves pretty fast. It's it's cute enough for its thing. Dawson and Olivia are good characters.
Yeah, it was really short. That was the one thing that I just didn't really remember at all. I thought there was more to it than we were watching it. So I will say I am probably a little bit biased because I do have a lot of nostalgia.
Right, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair. So for me, I've never seen it, and it did not seem like a Disney movie. If I would have just watched this, I would have never guessed in a million years that this was a Disney movie.
It does feel more like the other animation studio, the guy who did American Tail.
Yeah.
That it kind of feels like, not just because it's mice, but it feels like more like that.
It did feel more like that, or just like some other Saturday morning cartoon from the 80s, especially with the intro. The intro was super Saturday morning cartoon of the 80s.
No. So the intro, song was so much fun. I like the theme song, actually, I like quite a bit. Because when it opened and they played the theme song, I was like, oh my gosh, this takes me back so much. I even was humming it in my head, and I was like, how do I remember this? It's a good track.
Fair enough.
But before we get to the intro song, it does open, and there's two, essentially a toy maker, I guess, is what he is.
Flaversham.
Flanagan. Flagger has him.
Yeah.
That was the running joke throughout the whole movie that Basil couldn't remember her name. And his daughter, and then essentially there's a home invasion scene, essentially.
Yeah, with it turns out to be a bat.
Yeah, a bat with a peg leg and a broken wing, and he's just all messed up.
And he steals the dude, and now Olivia's alone.
Yeah, because that's when she's like, where's my dad? And then it just cuts to the opening, we just had this home invasion, but now here's a really happy theme song.
Yep.
But then after that, you see...
We meet Dawson.
Well, and they had, the parallel of, the human world and the mouse world.
Oh, sure.
A little bit.
That was pretty tropey,
But that's what they were doing, though.
Yeah.
But he basically finds Olivia and...
In a shoe?
Yeah, I think it was a boot or a shoe or something. Yeah. And they go and they look for Basil of Baker Street because she knows that he's a detective, so she thinks that he can help her find her dad. And so they find out where he lives.
Yeah, and they go there. Basil's not home. There's some nice old lady there that lets him in.
It's like Mrs. Potts, basically.
Yeah.
But then he shows up and he's running all over the place and he's being crazy and he's just basically the typical Sherlock Holmes.
Really scientific, really aloof, couldn't kind of care less if they're even really there.
Yeah, she's like, I need your help, and he's like, go away.
Yeah.
And he's testing, and they throw in a lot of the little things of that he is Sherlock Holmes essentially because he's like, oh, doctor. He's like, how'd you know I was a doctor? And he's like, oh, you have this stitch on your jacket, and it's blah, blah, blah.
But that's just him being a detective. I don't really think that gives you the Sherlock Holmes thing.
But the Sherlock Holmes, his whole thing is he puts the little details. I got
it. But it's still, I think you're overplaying that a little bit.
How the deuce did you know I was a doctor?
A surgeon, to be exact. Just returned from military duty in Afghanistan. Am I right?
Yes. Major David Q. Dawson. But how could you possibly...
Quite simple, really. You've sewn your torn cuff together with a Lambert stitch, which, of course, only a surgeon uses. And the thread is a unique form of catgut, easily distinguished by its peculiar pungency, found only in the Afghan provinces.
Oh, yeah, he's, testing these bullets, so he, shoots a bunch of pillows and looks at the bullets, and then he gets all upset because they don't match, and so while he was doing this for nothing.
Which, did they really have that kind of technology back then? I don't know. In 1897?
Wasn't it just a microscope?
Yeah, but to know to match the bullet.
Oh, no, probably not. I didn't think about that, but probably not. No.
Yeah. He's ahead of his time, clearly.
But then she's like, oh, he was taken by a bat, which just kind of alerts him to that it's the Radigan guy's
bat named Fidget.
Fidget, yes. And then he just starts explaining to them about Radigan, and it cuts to, like, Radigan's, what he's doing to Mr. Flavisham.
Yeah, and he's just this giant crime boss rat.
But he doesn't want to be called a rat,
Yeah,
which is like,
pretend he's a mouse.
Your name is Radigan, so.
And he's 3 times as big as any mouse, and he has a rat tail, but whatever.
Yeah, no. And so he's making Flavisham build, like, some robot, but at this point we don't know exactly what it's for.
No.
And the Flavisham guy is like, I don't want to do this, and then he basically is like, if you don't do it, I'm going to kill your daughter.
Yeah, he breaks the robot, and then he's like, threatens his daughter, so he's like, hell of it.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then there's a scene, because he goes back to all of his little henchmen, and they're all, like, drinking, and he's telling them about his plan, and then they start singing.
Oh, Radigan.
Yeah, and I actually like that part. I thought it was really cute.
It's okay. I like that he can rally all these people by being an evil guy.
An even grimmer plot has been simmering in my great criminal brain.
Even meaner, you made it. Worse than the widows and orphans you drowned. You're the best of the worst around. Oh, Radigan! Oh, Radigan!
Yeah.
Admittedly evil.
Because the one mouse gets really drunk, and then he's like, oh, you're the world's greatest rat. And he, like, freaks out because he called him a rat. So he calls his, like, cat to come and eat the guy.
Yeah, and the cat does eat him.
And it's the fattest cat with the tiniest feet ever.
Yeah. I thought that meant it clearly ate a lot of mice.
Oh, probably, because he just has a little bell that he just rings, and then all of the other mice are like, oh, and there's like a lizard there for some reason.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. It was like the thing in what was that movie that we watched that had those things?
Oh, in Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
Where she has like the pig, mouse, rat,
it reminded
something.
me of that. I was like, why is this?
I mean, I guess it's no different than on Rescue Rangers where he has like a cat and or like a cat sidekick and then like a turtle and like a mole and just all these different animals.
Rescue Rangers I get more because there's a lot more animals involved in that. But
yeah, but there was all mice and then
one lizard.
One lizard. So that was a little weird.
I mean, was the lizard supposed to be the black guy or something?
Probably.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But so he's like, oh, you were singing, and they're like, and they freak out and they start singing more. But then it goes straight back to Basil and Dawson, and so basically he's like, oh, we have to go find the bat, and then we meet Toby,
the dog.
Yeah, which is apparently the person detective's dog. So he just goes wherever with them, and the person doesn't even care.
It's a different time, people didn't helicopter around their dogs like we do today.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And and this is where I was like, oh, this movie's shorter, because I, in my head, remembered this part taking place like there was missing scenes in my head. Like I remembered it being later in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we could have even set up Toby and used Toby a lot more in this movie.
Did you like Toby?
Yeah, Toby was good and helpful and just underutilized and explained quite a bit.
Yeah, no, they could have definitely, I think if they would have added maybe 3 more scenes to the whole movie, maybe it would have been a little better.
Yeah, definitely.
But they go to the toy shop because he like gets Toby to sniff like the hat they found outside, because the bat was like lurking around outside.
Yeah, the bat was trying to steal Olivia right away.
Right, and so then they end up finding him, and they're going through the toy shop, and the bat has taken all of the toy soldier uniforms. Is that what they are, as toy soldiers? Yep. But they're like British Royal Guard toy soldiers, right?
Yeah, well, that's generally what toy soldiers are. Oh, sorry. And some gears from some other toys.
That's right.
Did he get the tools? Was that?
Yeah, I don't know where. It didn't show him getting the tools. Like, they never showed that. But then they go in there. Then all of a sudden, like, all of these random toys just start going off when they're in there.
Yeah, once they're really looking around and kind of getting on the tail of Fidget, all of a sudden all the toys just start going crazy.
Well, yeah, and because basically it's Fidget creating chaos so he can grab Olivia, which he does.
And it works, because Dawson's only job was to watch Olivia, and he did not.
Which is...
Because he's daffy.
Yeah, because then, of course, Fidget gets away, after Basil's chasing him, and then everything goes crazy, and Basil's all mad, and then Dawson's like, oh, I'm sorry, I should have watched her, I feel bad. I'm like, yeah, you should feel bad.
So they show up he takes Olivia to the Radigans, and for some reason the Flavershams are Scottish, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I guess there were a lot of immigrants, like, even then.
Like, what's the point?
I don't know, to make it more interesting, to hire those voice actors.
It was weird. It was weird that it bumped to me that they had different accents. So he shows that he has Olivia and makes Mr. Flaversham work, and sticks Olivia in a bottle with a cork in it, so she's dead.
No because there wouldn't be any air. That's true. I never thought about that, because if she was in there that whole time, there wouldn't have been any air.
Yeah.
Dawson did find the bat's note.
Right, but right before that, Radigan almost has a heart attack when he finds out that Basil is already on the case.
Right, because he's like, that's right, because he was asking Fidget, like, what happened, blah, 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 and he's like, oh, this is what happened, and he was, like, explaining it, and he's like, oh, and Basil was chasing me, and blah, 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 and he was like, oh, and so he freaked out, and he was going to feed Fidget to the cat, which he did.
Yeah, kind of.
Which, the first mouse just went straight down, no problem, but the bat was, like, flapping all over the place, but yeah, he, like you said, he freaks out, and then he's like, oh, wait, this is actually a good thing, because then he starts...
Basil's in for a surprise.
Yeah, basically, because he's concocting a plan. Meanwhile, back at the his lab, I guess, at Basil...
At the home, yeah, at Baker Street, he does a scientific experiment on a piece of paper, all to find out that it has salt on it.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, he could have just licked the paper.
Oh, that's funny. Well, then also he was like, he was, before he like burned it up, he like was like tasting the paper. So you think he would have tasted the salt, but he's like, oh, it's been gummed by a bat drinking this type of beer.
Yeah, or liquor or something.
At like a crappy...
And there was a lot of smoking and drinking in this movie, which is pretty great.
Well, and then the next part.
Yeah. But so he decides that it has to be where the sewer connects to the river, and that there's a bar there. So they go there undercover, dressed as a questionable pirate and a sailor man with a mustache.
Yeah.
Poor Dawson.
Yeah, he made him wear like this striped belly shirt and like
pink striped cut off belly shirt and a pirate's thing.
He looks ridiculous. Like
yeah.
Like really ridiculous. And then Basil's wearing like a mustache and like a coat.
A sailor's coat, yeah.
And that's it.
Sailor, yeah.
But they go into this bar and
the bar is super rough. There's lots of smoking, lots of drinking, lots of knives, lots of guns. So this might be the only other Disney movie where there's, well, not only, but where there's plenty of gunplay.
Well, oh yeah,
just randomly.
Because at the beginning he's matching the bullets and he's like loading the gun, and then you're right, because then when they're in here later, when all chaos breaks loose,
no, they're shooting anyway.
Oh,
they're
that's I guess
stuff like
that's true.
Throwing knives at stuff, throwing darts at stuff, like.
Yeah. And it's the kind of bar where there's like a stage show type of thing. So there's a number of performers. At first there's like an octopus juggling.
And they're like booing them.
But then Dawson is like, ooh!
Yeah. And then there's like this Bullwhip Griffin style burlesque scene. It was almost exactly like the same song.
You know, it kind of was, and I was thinking that too when we were watching it. I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like... But it's kind of a catchy song, though.
It was. To me, it was the best song, and it was just so much like Bullwhip Griffin, it was not even funny. I was like, why? They should have just used the same song.
Hey, fellas, the time is right. Get ready. Tonight's the night. Boys, what you're hoping for will come true. Let me be good to you.
But, yeah, because there's like a mouse, and then she starts stripping, and she's even like, I'll take off all my blues, which is like her clothes.
Right, well, yeah.
And
it's her underclothes.
I was like, oh, well, that's interesting for a Disney movie.
It's Let Me Be Good to You. Yeah. Let me be good to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very much like that song, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed this whole scene. This, to me, is the best scene of the movie, is the whole bar scene.
It's not bad.
It's funny. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and it's one of the scenes that I remembered a lot as a kid. I didn't really I remembered the song kind of, but I didn't remember the specifics of it. But then, like,
Dawson drinks the drugged up beer.
yeah, because the bartender drugs it because Basil asks about Radigan. He's like, oh, my old friend, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Everybody's like, stops, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know who that is. I don't know. So clearly everybody knows who it is, and he's just way too obvious for being the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, and so Dawson, like, drinks it, like he said, and then he's, like, drugged, but then he, like, snaps out of it really quickly. But
he's really messed up for a while, though. Like, he gets on stage and is dancing with the chick while she's singing.
Yeah, and that part was really funny, because before he got on stage, he was like, bravo, bravo, and he was like...
He was wasted. And he falls into the piano, and then... At that point, that's where chaos ensues because the pianist tries to hit him, misses, and hits some big giant dude. And it just descends into this gigantic bar brawl.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. There's like knives being thrown, guns being shot. Like, the whole place goes wild.
Yeah, and like, in the meantime, they had seen Pegleg, Fidget,
which is it's amazing.
Keep wanting to say Gadget. That's not
how
right.
Forgettable of a name and character that is for that thing.
Yeah,
it's like one of the main characters of the movie, and the whole time I kept being like, what's it called again? What's it called again?
Yeah, but they see him and they follow him like through a trapdoor, and then they have to follow him up a bunch of pipes and all this stuff, and
eventually they end up in Radigan's lair.
Yeah, and they think they're being really sneaky, but then it's a trap. And they've all ambushed both of them.
Yeah. So Radigan's just like gloating and
then it really gets to Basil because he is so smart, and so he's like, oh, this was really stupid.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, I totally lost.
So he just turns into like a
emo.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Radigan explains his Rube Goldberg death trap.
This part I do like quite a bit, actually.
Well, but it's so tropey. He's like, oh, you guys were 15 minutes late, so I have to leave.
Well, no,
I just assure you're going to die.
I love it. Not exactly that part, but just this whole scene, because Basil is like, so he leaves, and he's playing, so essentially the way the machine will be set off is there's a record that's attached to a string that will let a little ball go or marble or whatever and set the whole thing in motion. And there's another song that's playing that's just Radigan singing like a goodbye song to Basil.
Yeah.
But Basil's like, oh, like, wait, this was so stupid. He's all feeling sorry for himself.
I was bested. Duped.
And Dawson's like, basically is like,
snap out of it, man.
Fuck you, dude. Like, if you're not going to do anything, then we should just set the trap off now.
And then Basil starts thinking, yes, set the trap off now. Set the trap off now. Oh, if we do this, a square root of the isosceles triangle. So he somehow, in this quick 5-second rant that he has, he figures out exactly when they can set off the trap, to stop the ball, to let the trap go off, but make it miss them and screw everything up.
Yeah, because it like traps the ball, and that like causes the thing to vibrate, which lets like a bolt go up and hit the thing out of the way, and so all this.
The gun out of the way, so it shoots somewhere else, which knocks something else over, which knocks the axe over, which cuts the mousetrap in half right in between them, so they're now free, and then the iron falls on top of that, and.
Yeah, and then at the end of this, there was like a camera set up because Radigan was like, "Oh, make sure you smile for the camera." So then he's like, "Smile, everybody."
They do smile. That part was pretty.
But funny. I do like that part where he like figures it out, and then it like it
is funny.
It's a tiny part.
Crazy look on his eyes. He's like, "Oh no."
Yeah, no, I like that part quite a bit, and I remembered them being in a trap, but I didn't remember exactly how it happened, so that was enjoyable.
But while that's happening. We find out that Radigan had Flaversham make a fake queen. They're at Buckingham Palace, and they've captured the queen. They put the fake robot queen in her place.
And apparently they don't live in London, like Mouse London. They live in Mousedom.
Mousedom. I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. They mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, they bring it in like a gift box, and that's why they needed the uniforms, because they're all like disguised as soldiers. And she's like,
well, as guards.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, a present. And she's just like some old biddy.
Yeah, she's the Queen moused them.
And basically then
They get Toby, and they take off for Buckingham Palace. And this part just takes 0 time at all. Like,
well, yeah, that's
they
true.
They escape, and they're there.
Well, and Toby's like right there. He's like just whistles, and all of a sudden Toby's there.
And they're stopping Ratigan immediately. Like, there is no suspense at this point.
Well, but they go in and they like stop the queen because the Fidget is about to throw her over the thing to the cat.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is it happens immediately.
It does happen immediately because what he's doing essentially is the reason he created the robot is then she's like telling all the people like, oh, he's going to be my new royal whatever person, but then they take over and they're like, no, that's not what's happening, and it does happen very quick. You are correct.
While he's giving out this huge list of his new rules for the
he's like, there's going to be a tax on the elderly
and little children.
Yeah, he's like, you can't do that, and he's like, I can do whatever I want, and then that's when they're like, they start changing the voiceover, and he's like, wait, no, but then they're just. He essentially like then kidnaps Olivia again.
Yep, and takes off in the Ranger Mobile.
Well, it's kind of like the Ranger Mobile, except for it's pedaled by a bike.
Yeah.
Which the Ranger Mobile is not. That's all by a balloon.
It's just like it's like the Ranger Mobile 1.0.
Yeah, it's like the prototype Ranger Mobile. Yeah. And the end of the movie I actually did like quite a bit, but
Well, yeah, because Basil also whips together his own Ranger Mobile with balloons and a Union Jack.
Yeah, a flag.
Yeah, and so they fly. Also, they both crash into Big Ben.
Yeah, well, and when they're like letting air out of the balloons, you know, when you let a balloon go, it's just like there's no way to control that. It's just going.
Well, if you were able to control the direction,
I guess, but they're like flying all over the place and like. Yeah, they crash into Big Ben, into the clock. And this part I did like quite a bit. Because they're like Olivia and Ratigan and Basil are like inside the clock.
They're trying to get crushed by gears and
and so then Basil like gets Olivia and like Ratigan sees them escaping, so then he like goes full rat. And he freaks out.
He freaks out. Although I really would have liked to just see it end with him getting eaten up by his cape and the gears.
Well, that was actually, I don't remember, that was like, wow, that's really, because Basil, before he runs away, like, puts his cape in the gears, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
The only reason he got out was because he went full rat, like, he went crazy.
Yeah, and it was just kind of gross, like, he had like these crazy claws, and he's like.
And his tail got really ratty, and
his
whole body just got extra ratty.
Yeah, and he's like chasing Basil, and then like they have like a showdown on the face of the clock, and basically the clock like turns and they both get knocked off the edge. But then Basil like catches the
pedal propeller.
Yeah, and manages to like propel himself back up, and they're like, yay! And then that, you know, everyone's happy. The queen thanks them, and basically then Olivia and her dad like, okay, we're gonna leave now.
Yeah, goodbye, thank you.
And
then Dawson's gonna leave.
Yeah, and then some lady shows up. It's like, is this the home of Basil Baker Street? I need help.
And then Basil decides that he wants to make Dawson his partner because he is just a lonely man.
Yeah, he's like, wait, no, don't leave me.
Yeah, like, no, I can't. I need you, bro.
And that's the end of the movie. It's so short.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my problem, is that this movie it's just kind of there, and then it's done.
Yeah, it is pretty short. I will say that. And that was a little disappointing. I just remembered it being so much, like, grander as a child. I don't know.
So much more vivid and great.
Yeah, like more, I don't know, something. But, so, what was your favorite? Oh,
the bar scene was my favorite part. It was really funny and really enjoyable.
That's fair. I think the end was my favorite part. I did like the chase scene and the clock and all that. I thought the animation was pretty good on the clock, like the gears and stuff. I thought that was pretty good for 1986. I thought that was pretty good.
I don't know, but okay.
Well, as a whole, I mean, the animation, I thought it was better than Oliver and Company.
No way. It was cheap and terrible
really?
The whole way through. I don't know what you were watching.
But Oliver and Company was like grainy and like...
This was grainy and looked like crap. It looked like it was made from the 60s But in the 80s, like, no budget.
I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad.
It was like the most noticeable thing right away. Like, what the hell is this movie?
I didn't think it was that bad.
Well, it is.
So the songs, I mean, there actually was a couple of songs.
Yeah, there's the Radigan song, the Let Me Be Good to You song.
The Goodbye So Soon song,
Yeah.
and the theme song, which the theme song
I don't
kicks
even
ass.
recall the theme song.
It's like dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's like almost like it's like adventure, like fun stuff.
Fun stuff. It's a fun song.
It's a fun song. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
I like it. But so it's like they were putting they're like, oh, we're gonna put some. This was like almost where they started getting the idea to put make them more like musicals, because then the next thing was Oliver and Company.
Yeah.
The next animated movie. So then they went full music at that point, because then they went into Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Then all the rest
So
of them
this is
were
almost like the beginning of that.
musical. Yeah, but this is like they just needed practice, I guess. Like, maybe we should make these more than an hour and 15 minutes long.
It was really short. So our main character, I guess, is Basil and Watson. Or Dawson. I keep wanting to say Watson, but that's because it's Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Yeah.
Thoughts on either one of them?
I mean, Basil is super basic. There's not a lot to him. Like, that's kind of what I also didn't like, is he was so straightforward that it was kind of boring. Dawson I like because he's kind of silly.
Yeah, because he would. Yeah, that's true. He was always like trying to be a proper British grandpa.
Yeah.
What did you think about Radigan as a villain?
I wanted him to be a really cool villain, but I don't know. He was just really gross.
That's why I like him.
And kind of lame. I mean, that's fair.
He's so gross.
But yeah, I mean, he was just really gross and like almost like over the top evil, which to me was just too much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I could see that. Yeah, he was a little bit over the top.
And Fidget was just boring.
Yeah, Fidget was not great. There could have been he almost needed
they could have done better.
They could have had more than one, and it would have been better.
Or just made him have some more personality. Your sidekick doesn't have to be almost nonsensical and say almost nothing.
Yeah, no, that's true. Which, if they would have had a couple more scenes, or
just given him some better lines, it could have really helped.
Yeah, no, that's true, because he couldn't really understand what he was saying. Also,
kind of. And it was kind of annoying how dumb he was. It's like, jeez.
I guess you would think that if Radigan was so smart that
he'd have a better sidekick.
He would trust to a better sidekick. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And then we have Olivia, Flavisham, Fidget, which we already talked about, and that's Toby and the cat, and that's
Olivia is just this cute, cheeky little girl. Nobody really cares.
Basil, look out!
Father, I never thought I'd find you. She didn't even find him. She got kidnapped.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, that's true, because because they kidnapped her. I never thought I'd find you. And it's like, well, you didn't.
Yeah, you
stop taking credit.
You didn't.
Not your job. Well, in the story, I mean, we've kind of already talked about it, that it just needed more, I guess.
It was really rushed, and there was nothing super special about it.
Yeah, no, they could have had more.
It just wasn't. It just didn't seem like it was anybody's best effort.
Well, I mean, they probably all were still recovering from Black Cauldron because.
Yeah, but why make you got to try and do better, not.
No, I know, but they. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just.
I'm just so disappointed that you really didn't like it.
But I mean, talking about it, if you didn't watch it as a kid.
No, I know. But
you've got to be able to see where I'm coming from, where I'm like, this movie just kind of sucks.
So. And there's really not a message. There's no message.
No, I tried to figure it out. I was like, what? Sparks win? Evil's bad? I don't understand. And that's the other thing. Is this movie just. I get why you would have liked it as a kid. I can't be sitting here being like, oh, this is awesome.
Well,
to me, it's just kind of forgettable.
See, and I will never forget it.
Well, no, not having seen it as a child. No, of course not.
Definitely, my opinions of this movie are very much influenced by my childhood. I will fully admit that talking through it, it's not the greatest movie, but every scene I was like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this. So like I'm seeing it through rose tinted glasses.
Okay, so what's your rose tinted rating for this movie?
73%.
I think that's fair.
And that's still in my average range. My average range stops at like 75.
And see, I gave it a 51, so I didn't kill it. I just didn't think it was very good.
Yeah, I mean 51. That's like in Bullwhip Gifford territory, I guess.
It's worse than that.
But technically, you rated them the same.
No, I didn't. It's worse than that.
Oh well.
And what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score was?
Probably not very good. Probably like 40.
No, it was 79 and 79, critics and people. So it's not the most popular, but I mean, some people like it.
Well, probably
most people, I guess, like it.
Probably people like me who watched it a lot as a kid, and I will admit it's definitely nostalgia for sure. But it's so short, and it's just like. It's just a cute movie.
A lot of these being short is really helpful. In this case, it was really not helpful at all.
Right, and I think it's because they were trying to do a bigger story than the time allowed for.
They really failed.
Because if they would have had, like, 2 or 3 more scenes with, like, Basil and Watson and Olivia and, like, Toby, like, undercovering clues and using, like, science like he did.
I hate to say this, they could have left out the song scenes to help build the story better.
No, I don't think so.
No, but that's the only way you're going to get it.
But then they could have had, like, more, like, better villain stuff, I guess, but...
Yeah, something.
But they should have had, like, 2 or 3 more scenes with, like, Basil and Watson and Olivia doing, like, science detective stuff.
Sure.
And that would have made it a little better. And maybe stretched out the ending a little bit.
I don't know if the ending needed stretching.
Well, like, the like, from where they escaped to where they confronted him.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, do you have anything else? I feel like this is just ridiculously short, but
no,
there's not a lot for us to go on about with this movie.
We're at 40 minutes. That's fine.
I guess. I mean...
But it's a short movie, so there's less to talk about.
It really is, and there's not a lot of substance to unpack.
I'm a little disappointed, I guess, because I was so excited to watch it because I hadn't watched it in so long, and so that's how I know that this is a perfect example of like nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I will still like this movie because I just think it's so cute, but I'm a little disappointed.
But be careful what you wish for.
I mean, and so now I'm like, wait, maybe we shouldn't watch some of these other movies because I might be disappointed.
Yeah, maybe. But that does mean that it's time. That it's crime time.
Now I'm like crushed a little bit, so it doesn't even matter. Who cares?
We got number 134.
Wait, and what number was this?
I don't know.
Wait, 134, is that also going to be in the 80s? 90s?
Nope.
70s?
Yep.
Oh boy.
It's from 1978. It's a movie called Candle Shoe.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I'm pretty sure it's live action.
Somebody with hot feet.
Stop lighting my feet on fire. I think it's live action.
I would imagine, just because I've never heard of it before.
Okay, so what do you think it's about?
I don't know. Somebody in London in like the 1850s.
Oh, no, you're just... It's going to be like, this is a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah.
No,
there you go. Candle shoe instead of gumshoe.
I don't know. How do you even... There's not even like you said, like what, hot feet? Like what is that?
This title has no way of making
I'm so curious what it's about.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
We'll find out,
There'll probably be animals involved.
We'll find out next week. Well, of course, it's a live-action Disney movie. What do you mean
there'll be questionable scenes involved?
There should be lots of those. It's the 70s.
It's been a while since we've had an old live-action movie.
It's been a really long time.
So
really.
this will be in... I think the last one was Nikki. Was it the last time we had a live-action one?
Yeah, that's almost not even a live-action one because it's so dog-heavy and bear-heavy.
I don't remember what the last one was before that. Was it Monkey's Uncle? Was it all the way back there?
Yeah, probably.
I don't remember. Well, I guess we'll find out what Candle Shoe is.
Next week, yeah. But in the meantime, you can interact with us on Facebook at the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
Instagram, if you could share it with your friends, leave a review, comments, subscribe, and send us an email if you like.
At the DisneyMovies@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just send them to us on either Facebook, Instagram, email, and we'll answer them the best we can.
Yeah, we'll try at least. But in the meantime, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye! David's soundtrack.